Americans, but what really got our attention was when they launched Sputnik 2. It weighed 1,120 pounds, considerably larger, 1,120 pounds, and it carried a living thing in space with it, a dog. And we'll talk about that when we get into our subtopic 1957 at a glance. But the second satellite, Sputnik 2, weighed considerably more, 1,120 pounds, and actually carried a dog into space. We'll tell you the result of that later. Well, this whole thing really shook American self-confidence. All of a sudden, we're down 2-0 in the race for space, and we aren't even in the game yet. We haven't even showed up yet, right? And we're down 2-0. And a lot of people thought that the United States had taken a back seat to communism, especially in scientific technology. So people were really concerned, because we're down 2-0 in this race for space, and we haven't even started yet, okay? We haven't even gone to practice yet, and we're already down 2-0, okay? Now, on top of that, the worst possible scenario raced through their minds. If the Russians can fire a 1,120-pound object into space, they certainly would have the technology to fire intercontinental ballistic missiles, or maybe even nuclear weapons could be launched from space. So I mean, we panic big time here, because we have found out that the Russians have a lot more scientific capability than we do, and we start to panic. Many Americans believed that students in the United States were far behind the learning curve of Russian students, especially in what two core areas?
Science.
And?
Psychology.
No, math, science and math. So, many Americans believed that students in the United States were far behind the learning curve of those students in the Soviet Union, especially in the two core areas of mathematics and science. And because of their concern, Congress passed in 1958 the National Defense Education Act. Because of America's concern over the lack of education in the area of science and math, in 1958, Congress passes the National Defense Education Act. Now see if anybody can impress me on what that did, since we already talked about it.
Get college money.
It gave student loans to needy college students if they went into the areas of math and science. Okay? Matter of fact, they budgeted $887 million to loan needy college students if they went into science and math. What's that?
What was the number?
887 million. Now that's going to expand later, kiddos, isn't it, until what we see today, and we'll talk about that later. Prelude to next week's lecture, what else was created in 1958 because we were getting our butts kicked in this? NASA. Very good, NASA. Okay, we'll talk about that a little bit later too, but also created in 1958 to get us going in this race for space was NASA. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Is NASA still a thing?
58, 59, yep.
I thought they ended it.